Good morning, everybody. This is Al Lucas, author of Low Steppin'. This is the second series of a 12-part series concerning my books. The first series was High Steppin', the first step, High Steppin', the isometrics of isolation and power depression. Well, now Paul is pulled out of his depression, and we have his next sequel called Low Steppin'. As you can see, he's behind bars in this particular book. The book starts out with a foreshadowing, a plea of Paul's, as he is behind bars, to look for him in the newsstands, that he's still running for president or some such, and he just wants a little bit of acceptance from society despite his current situation. But that's the ending of the book. The beginning of the book, in addition to the foreshadowing, is an affair that he has with Trixie, a black woman given to him by the neighborhood dealers as a token of their appreciation, much like the ending of High Steppin' was, except this is about 13 years later, near 2020, the Trump era, or the end of the Trump era. And Paul is extremely dissatisfied with the way things are going in the country. And he's also dissatisfied with his current reward or benefit that he receives from the VA. For Paul is a veteran. He served his time rather shortly, briefly, and he became a disabled veteran because of a nervous condition. He was allergic to war, and he was allergic to a lot of things at that particular time in his life. This was in 1970. However, about 30 years later now, we find Paul is still only a 50% rated recipient, welfare recipient, and he wants a little bit more. He's tried work and failed at it, and in this book, was one last job as a custodian at the VA hospital in Tampa, Florida, where he mops and cleans and lasts for about 2 weeks. It's just too arduous for poor Paul to undergo. So he takes his 50% and he applies for total disability, and lo and behold, he gets it. Trump was very kind to the veterans, it's rumored, and he got an immediate increase of 100%, which netted him about $3,000 a month, which was quite comfortable for him. And with plus his Social Security, Paul's 74, so plus his Social 68, and plus his Social Security, it all adds up to a nice little $4,000 nest egg for Paul. He decides to run for the presidency. So dissatisfied is he with the status quo, and he uses he starts out developing his platform based upon two themes given to him by Brandy, his best friend, who saved him from crack addiction in the year of '85. But this is 2020, and just prior to 2020, the year of 2020. He uses two themes given to him by Brandy. One is the notion of monotheism, in God we trust, in which he elaborates on the absolute principle. If everybody believes that God is one, then they must deal with the certainty principle that they are right. And that goes without question. But in Paul's mind, that's not the case. There are certain ambiguities and certain uncertainties which exist in the world that have to be dealt with. The other one is the price of greed, and how greed feeds upon itself and devours itself, and leaves the middle with nothing, in two extremes, the poor and the rich. So those two themes he takes further, and it has a platform that he develops about so forth as such and such and such and such and such and such. And I'll let you read those themes when you get the book. Hopefully you will get the book. It's important. And Paul, after the custodian job, starts to wonder if he'll ever be loved or liked by anybody. And he deals with certain abstractions like economy of thought, a loving human being, birthday wish, and so forth. And he goes through all that. And then he makes a fatal error. He goes shopping. And in shopping, he meets a cashier of color, a beautiful underage cashier of color, who he's uncertain about. He's there to buy some baking soda, but she knows Paul from Paul's reputation around the neighborhood, and the supermarket was rather close by. And all the blacks have Paul's number, and she accuses him of using that baking soda, which he was using it to eliminate the flies in the drain of his sink. But to her mind, he was going to actually use it as a filler for cocaine, to wean it down into a more marketable product. And she says that she gets off at 10 o'clock, and he says, okay, all right. So Paul winds up at 10 o'clock at the Winn-Dixie, and they go home together, and he has a little bit of a tryst. She's so good looking, so alluring, that he can't resist her. And she winds up blackmailing him, because she's underage, and you get into trouble for that kind of thing. So Paul is now no longer free of all constraints financially, because he has to deal with Trixie. What's her name? Miss Com, I think is her. I forget exactly what I call her here. Let me see. Anyway, he deals with Miss Com, and she takes him to court, and he is tried and convicted. So Paul winds up behind bars as a place of final retreat, where he is truly free financially. And that's how the book ends, with him communing silently to his good friend Brandy that it's an unconscionable world, not necessarily a conscious world, because Brandy had been dealing with the collective consciousness of mankind, and Paul had bought into that, and he says, Brandy, it's an unconscionable world, not an unconscious world, or not a collective conscious world. Well, that's how the book ends, and it's very lighthearted and quite readable. I think you'll like it, and I look forward to seeing you in the third session, where we discuss the third step, the isometrics of tobacco and power of nonsense. I think you'll find that one pretty good too. So Until the next time, au revoir and have a good day. Bye-bye.